Ryan's usually the one that's good.
Test. We ready? We're ready. I'd like to call the Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness Public Meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Moved by Dave.
Second, David.
Second by David. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda, 2024-25 Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness Summary and Achievement and Integration Progress Report. Ryan and Carol.
Good. Are you gonna sit? Oh, you're just gonna sit there? No, I don't need you standing by me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Carol Kopp.
Carol Kopp, District Literacy Lead, and Ryan will be up in a minute. Our presentation tonight is on our Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness Plan, and we are also tonight doing the Achievement and Integration Report.
And
at any time, please stop me, ask questions.
So
first of all,
our
our Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness Committee members are listed here. When Ryan first,
hooked me into doing this, it was Mr. Marty and Ryan, and then I think it was Doug, and then that was it. And look at how it's grown. See, Mr. Gross? So we have school board representation, administration of the district. We have Kim Geislinger on there from Ross Resources, Darren from the high school. We have Tanis, but Tanis is in a different meeting right now, so she can't join us. And then we have Chris Riley, Stephanie Gamble, and then Christine Chris also rounding up our committee. I would like it bigger and more robust. So World's Best Workforce was developed in 2013 per statute, and that's what it used to be called, to ensure that school districts and charter schools in Minnesota enhance student achievement through teaching and learning supports. In the 2024 session, the legislature renamed it to Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness, or CACR. This change took effect as of the 24-25 school year. So this would be the first plan report as CACR. So these are the goals. All children are ready for school. All racial and economic achievement gaps between students are closed. All students are ready for career and college. All students graduate from high school, and all students are prepared to be lifelong learners. So pretty much those are great goals, just no matter what. One thing we're going to do differently next year is we're going to tie those with our strategic directions and our strategy goals, so it doesn't feel like we're jumping through separate hoops, just making it one hoop. So the CACR requirement comprehensive achievement, civic readiness, is that school boards are to hold an annual public meeting. That's this, to communicate plans for the upcoming school year based on a review of goals, outcomes, and strategies from the previous year. The A&I requirement, achievement and integration, is also the public meeting for A&I to be held at the same time as the CACR annual public meeting. The date of this is tonight. So CACR and A&I published reports, so the report will be found on the district website after you've approved it tonight. The district also keeps stakeholders informed on progress towards meeting CACR goals in a variety of ways, but not limited to the digital newsletter to parents that comes home, newsletter to staff, the advisory committee meetings, and then a hard copy of the report will also be available here. So the first goal, all children are ready for school. We do preschool screenings. We have early edge. We have kindergarten roundup. And this data to the right came from early edge. It came from Darla. And you can see up here from fall 2024, and this is 4-year-olds. So fall 2024 to spring of 2025, looking at the growth that they have, they're on track to be ready for school. One interesting thing, and we did not include it in our report tonight, but the state of Minnesota is working on an assessment for kindergarteners to know if they're ready for kindergarten. So just stay tuned. That's going to be another state mandate. So we'll kind of see what happens with that. Questions about this one at all? And we can come back to any of these later too, but this is the first goal.
One question. I mean, it's phenomenal across the board. Looks too good to be true. I'm not trying to.
Well, I don't know that it's too good. Like in the preschool data, is that what you're talking about?
I mean, picture naming, we went from 38 to 81.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of them.
I think
My answer to that is many of those kids are sponges, and many of them haven't had any formal education, direct instruction in front of them, so they're seeing that for the first time.
Okay, so this is, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, and this the fall and spring, I'm sorry. So
Yes.
this was over the school year.
Yep.
They're improving over
That's
the
correct.
school year.
last
Sorry,
school year
I'm
to
sorry.
the spring for 4 years.
I missed the,
No, that's
just
okay.
the precursor. I looked at the year only and I went, okay, from one year to the next, our group of kids came in that much better.
Right.
But this was their improvement over the year.
Absolutely. And Ryan is right that our younger students are sponges, so it almost, we just pour it in and they've got it.
Well, and I'm glad none of them regressed.
Right.
Sure,
For preschool screenings, are these all the preschools that we have, within Itasca County? Is this just a couple of preschools, within like the IS or, early edge? Are there particular preschools that we're getting this data from?
That's a great question. Ryan,
Early
is
edge
it-
would be all
it's just all of the preschool screenings that come from early edge.
Okay, so it wouldn't be, I don't know.
Wouldn't be like Ryan Block or
No.
would be Little Red Wagon.
Yes, that's what we, okay, good,
Just be those buildings.
got it, okay, yeah.
Thank you for your questions. Okay. So the next goal is that all academic gaps between students are closed. And so for these, I incorporated our readiness, resilience, and excellence into these. So for readiness, we do use FastBridge and STAR screenings to identify student needs early. We're doing that right now. In the secondary, we're going to be doing that after Christmas. And then we also are using a guaranteed and viable curriculum aligned to the standards. And I know you're thinking, what is a guaranteed and viable curriculum? I'll get to that on the next slide. Resilience. So tier 2 and tier 3 targeted interventions. Do you remember, I think it was last week that Zach was here talking about tier 2 and tier 3. So tier 1 is for all students, tier 2 is for some students with that extra scoop, and tier 3 is a little bit more intensive. So we do have those interventions. And then we have After School Learning Academy also for extended support. And then excellence, our improved tier 1 instruction in every classroom and data-informed teaching to strengthen outcomes for all students. So I'm going to get to that guaranteed and viable curriculum. So what is that? What does that mean? So what that means is that we're ensuring that all students, regardless of school or classroom, are taught the same essential skills and standards, which is the guaranteed part, and that teachers have sufficient time, resources, and support to teach them well, which is the viable part. So breaking this down, if we were looking at our brand new K-8 literacy curriculum, we are seeing that they're teaching the exact same thing across the district, and we're monitoring that. That does not mean that if Mark and David were teaching side by side, that you're teaching exactly the same, you're teaching the same material. And then the bottom part, the sufficient time, resources, and support to teach them, we are helping with that from the district side, with support and professional development and training to make sure teachers have everything that they need. Questions on this goal? I can go back to that. Anyone? Okay. The next one is that all students are ready for career in college. So again, under the readiness, resilience, and excellence piece, so strong literacy, math coming, and academic foundations, career exploration and planning aligned to student interests, technology and digital skills for college and the workplace. Under resilience, personalized guidance, advising, and academic support. So I'll get into a little bit more of that in a minute. Development of self-advocacy, goal setting, and perseverance. Opportunities to learn from challenge and grow through feedback, but that's still kind of work in progress. Excellence, high quality, standards aligned instruction across all content areas. Again, we're still working on that. That is the end goal. Real world applied learning that connects academics to future pathways. So these are some of the things in place under excellence at the high school. In our high school levels, we're using Zello, and I wish Tanis was here. She does have a slide later on where she explains it a little bit, but students do dig into college searches, job searches. She has a slide later of the top 10 jobs. One of them was professional athlete. International Baccalaureate, again, having that, when we talk about it, we say IB, but if you're not in the education world, you don't know what IB means. So International Baccalaureate. And then we have college in the schools, or SITS, and then college career, and then we have our partnership also with iAsk Next on career tech ed. Any questions on this one? The next one is all students graduate from high school. So you see our data for 2024, and this is from MDE's website. So I don't know if there's a while, if there's lag time from our 2025 data, but you can see Grand Rapids High School, 94.5% graduation rate, the ALC, 92.5%, and Big Fork High School, 93.8%. The state average is 84.2%. So we are well above the state average for our graduation rate, which is awesome. And a lot of hard work goes into that.
Carol, how is that measured? What's the denominator and numerator to get to that number?
I don't know.
Is it starting ninth grade, kindergarten? What's the,
I don't know that answer.
I think they're basing that on the senior class.
That's a four-year graduate.
Is it
Starting, I think so. So that when they come in, they a lot of effort into that. So it's how many started in ninth grade, and then how many, I think.
I do think ALC is calculated for if they graduate 5 to 10.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for the question. But I will, Dave, I will check on that just to make sure that we have the right answer. And the final one is all students are prepared to be lifelong learners. This one was added, I believe, in the 24 legislation when they changed the name. So this is really what it's all about, is that we want our students to leave and be lifelong learners and to be productive citizens. That's what it's all about, all the things that we're doing. So under readiness, we have strong foundations in reading, writing, critical thinking, technology, digital literacy skills for learning, work and life, real world application across content areas. And by no means am I saying that this is perfect. It is still continues to be a work in progress. Under resilience, support for the whole child, academic, social, and emotional growth, goal setting, reflection, and ownership of learning, perseverance through challenge and productive struggle, And then finally, high quality standards aligned instruction in every classroom and engaging inquiry-based learning that builds curiosity and independence. Questions on this one? So how can you support? How can you help? So help ensure that community members have an opportunity to participate in the strategic planning process. We did incorporate this year our conversations, and we've had community members come in, and we're going to continue that. So that's really important. Being reflective of the district's diversity and its schools, that will come up in a little bit when Ryan does the A&I part, and thus include, to the extent possible, teachers, parents, guardians, support staff, students, and other community residents. So we want, like I said, that group has expanded to include more than just district people. And then making recommendations to you concerning rigorous academic standards and student achievement goals and measures, and that's really what our department does. So staffing requirements, this is where a lot of the things that we have to do for MDE fall over each other. Casey did a report, I think, already this year on staffing, and so here's some more information on staffing. So CACR requires districts and charter schools to have a process in place to ensure students from low-income families, students of color, and American Indian students are not taught at disproportionate rates by inexperienced, out-of-field, and ineffective teachers. So this is just a snapshot of our staff. So highly qualified staff, over 90% are deemed experienced by MDE. The state average is 78.5 in high poverty districts and 88.6 in low poverty districts, so we're still above that. 98.5% of our teachers have a license or permission in the subject areas they teach. So I just want to address that for a minute, because if I wasn't part of education, I would say, you're telling me you have teachers that don't have a license to teach what they're doing. And so the Department of Education has waivers for things, but you have very strict guidelines for how you would meet those. And then 68.4% of our teachers have advanced degrees, which is really impressive. Questions? Here's our student demographics. 15.7% of our students are students of color. 5.7% are American Indian, 6.7% two or more races, 2.4% Hispanic or Latino, 0.5% Black or African American, 0.3% Asian, and 0.1% Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. And here's some of the strategies that we've been using to support instructional growth. We've been using early outs for database decision making. The principals have had training every month around topics related to the strategic directions, and then those topics are then used to lead building trainings and ongoing PD with teachers. We have a teacher advisor program providing trainings and staff development opportunities, adding structured levels of support for our teachers during the first 3 years if they're new to teaching, or 1 year if they're new to the district. We finished the REGAT training for phase 1, which was carry all, and that was for grade K-5 teachers, 6 in Big Fork, and then all of our special education teachers. We're getting ready to start phase 2 for secondary. Stay tuned. We do quarterly curriculum integration support for literacy. We have curriculum planning nights. We did U-Fly training in kindergarten through 3rd grade. One thing we didn't add there, but I think Zach talked to you about it last week, was we're going to pilot morphology, prefixes, suffixes, bases, Greek and Latin, etc. We had that training last week and it was really, really good. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. Our professional development calendar, this year for the first time, the professional development for the entire year was planned and given to teachers at the end of last year. So they could look and have the whole entire year mapped out. The goal is to do that this upcoming year with most of the things. I would say literacy and math for sure. Hopefully the other ones I can get on there as well. That takes a lot of time. And I need the calendar to be able to do that. We have done one-on-one check-ins with all K-8 literacy teachers. And I know you're thinking, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, just to check in with each one of those teachers. We have 62 K-8 literacy teachers teaching Wit and Wisdom. And so this is just a personal check-in with every single one of them on how things are going and how we can support them. And then, of course, we have the literacy coach in place to help facilitate learning around the implementation of both Wit Wisdom and UFly. And now I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan.
All right, last year I brought this to you again, you've probably seen this many times, but everything we do, including with CACR, relates back to our strategic directions, our operational plan. This came out of that survey we gave the community 5 years ago, and we continue to use that today to guide our work and our efforts. That stuff goes to the strategy team, which then boils into the action that comes out of it. And much of that action took place last year, and I can stand up here and proudly say we accomplished much of this work. You can look up here and see the completion date for evidence-based practices. That's the rollout of the Archer research in the classroom. Had to be accomplished by July 1st, 2025, and I can say that work is rolled out. The behavior reporting, same thing, July 1st. Again, how are we getting at those CACR goals? We're doing that through the strategy team as well. The homeschool communication, same thing. July 1st, 2025, we accomplished that. ELA curriculum adoption, Carol just spoke to, the Wit Wisdom, that's ongoing. But we accomplished what we wanted to get through by July 1st of 2025. And lastly, the Orton Gillingham training, and the walkthroughs to go around and see, are they doing the 3-part drill? Are they teaching new concepts? Are they doing the dictation? That happened by July 1st of 2025. Furthermore, you can see up here, science curriculum adoption. Again, there's a lot of things going on in this district that we can be very proud of. So the science curriculum adoption, same thing, accomplished that July 1st of 2025. But again, ongoing. Like when we're working with curriculum, it's never done. Our crisis, same thing. We continue to meet about district threat assessment. Again, MTSS ongoing, but again, the work that we had to do with fidelity checks were accomplished. Going back to evidence-based practices, analyzing data walls, teachers building data walls, spending time in early outs, ensuring that we're closing the achievement gaps. Again, we're still doing that, but much of that work was done and accomplished last year, and then same thing for testing protocols. But this was the work of our strategy team, the work of a group of people, and then bringing that work back to the buildings and rolling that out. The A&I side of things, achievement integration. The goal of A&I is to pursue racial and economic integration, increase student achievement, and create equitable opportunities, reduce academic disparities. The 2024-25 school year was year 2 of rotation 2 at ISD 318. All goals are written as 3-year goals, 2 achievement goals, 1 integration, and 1 teacher equity goal. So here's goal 1. Again, the percentage of American Indian students in Grand Rapids area schools and post-secondary education will increase from 25% in the spring of 21 to 50% in the spring of 25. And that goal we're still working on, still in progress. We had 45% of American Indian students enrolled in post-secondary. What are we doing? Still doing targeted counseling lessons and specialty workshops. The next goal here, let's see. Okay, so the percentage of American Indian students in Grand Rapids area schools and post-secondary education will increase from 25 to 50. Did I do that? Second twice. Okay. So again, the Minnesota report card 45%. Tannis wanted me to put this up. Career and connected learning at GRHS. I think this is vital to moving forward. We have our kids do the Zello piece, and the students sitting in the room are probably well aware of Zello. But in 9th grade and the seminar class, we have the kids go in and take that inventory to begin thinking about what do I want to do later on in life. The career seminar, again, is done in the wellness, seminar 1 and 2, done in their wellness courses. Again, have them further explore what they want to do later, and it prepares them perhaps for that career internship in their senior year. So again, they're doubling down on these in their classes, and with the goal of having kids understand and know what they want to do later on. I thought this was very interesting. You can see October 2024 there's 518 students. They had 246 transcript requests, 270 student set goals. On the right-hand side, I thought this was neat as well. They had average logins per student, 5.3. and they had 646 lessons completed. So you can see the resources being used. Kids are beginning to understand further what they want to do after high school. And you can see here, as Carol mentioned earlier, the top saved careers, professional athlete at the top, but all the way to heavy equipment operator. I have a daughter that's going through this right now, and she's still undecided about what she wants to do, but she is accessing this to really see what she wants to do later on after she graduates. You can see the universities that were up there, the top one, UMD. Again, this is something I wish we had when I was in school. It would have helped.
So when we look at our top 10 there.
Yep.
You know, the Zello is what grades participate in that from 9th grade?
9-12.
So that's a cumulative,
Yes.
basically all of my.
Right.
And do they just like pick one career, or do they, you know,
So it's
scale somehow?
It's given some sort of interest survey, and then there are several careers that pop up. I haven't done it myself, but we learned about it in the last CACR meeting. It's a survey, and then it puts them into like certain careers, and then the kids get to pick one, two, or whatever that they're interested in.
Either of you like to speak to that?
Survey and asks like,
Can you turn your microphone on? I'm sorry. Thank you.
it asks like what you want to do, like if you like helping people, kind of like what you want your future to be like, if your like work-life balance is what's important to you, or making money is what's important to you. It also asks like where you want to go to school, like do I want to go to big school, so kind of like it's like almost like a personality quiz, and it kind of like curates a job for you. I know I got a janitor, I was a little shocked about that. So then also like I got a doctor, so it's like it gives you like a wide range of like 4 or 5, and you can like further explore them. And there's like a bunch of different quizzes, so you kind of see like different careers.
Like say multiple like careers, so then you like it goes into this tab, so you can go back to it later.
Thank you. All right, goal 2, in collaboration with Grand Rapids Area Schools, Anishinaabe Ed, enrich cultural awareness for all through increased opportunities. Their goal was to do 4, and they met that goal this past year. So what are we doing? Students participate in cultural activities, and they increase opportunities for cultural learning in the classroom. Goal 3. So the percentage of students entering kindergarten will show growth towards kindergarten preparedness as measured by FastBridge assessment. 68% proficient in the spring of 2023 to 80% in the spring of 2025. And we're still working. 69% of students showed to be proficient in reading, and of course the FastBridge assessment. What are we doing? We're going to be kindergarten roundup. We're still gathering data and responding to data, also the kinder campus on there. So the other goal here is Grand Rapids Area Schools will increase the number of students enrolled in the Intro to Teaching course. In 2024-25 school year, 7 students were enrolled in the teaching course. What are we doing? You can see here at the bottom, Foundations of Ojibwe Ed taught at the Cultural Ed site for younger students. We have the Zello implementation and intentionally scheduling for students, providing crossover teaching opportunities with Anishinaabe education. Any questions? About any of the report?
Brian, can you go back to your grid and make sure all the dates in July 1st, 2025? So those goal dates, because I know it's every page is July 1st, so I don't think they all happen on July 1st, right? Is it a goal?
That was what we're shooting for the end date.
Do you know like the dates by which they all happened? Was it more shooting towards getting the goal? Did it all kind of come on? Did they all spread out?
So some of them are spread out. Like Carry All was finished at the end of the school year. Probably June was the last date of that, and we had a celebration. Like evidence-based practices were sprinkled throughout the early outs. So like at the middle school, we had 2 early out sessions that we introduced the Archer work and continued it another time, and that's still ongoing. But what we set out to do with that piece was opening up a lesson. So that I think we finished, we touched on that towards the mid-year, probably after Christmas break last year, and completed it. So yeah, they all had like different timelines. The behavior reporting We introduced that at the start of the year, but we continue to hit on it throughout the year to ensure we had fidelity with behavior reporting. So they were all, staggered, but in the final, the idea of we went through this July 1 at the strategy team and said, how did we do? Where are we at?
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Haven't heard anything.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks a lot for coming, Ryan and Carol. Thank you. Julia, has anyone signed up for public input?
They have not. No one has signed up.
This time we're going to adjourn the,
Oh, can we approve the report, please?
oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Looking for a motion to approve the 2025 comprehensive assessment, civic readiness summary and achievement integration process for approved it by Dave. Second by Ashley, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Report is approved. No one signed up for the input. This time we're going to adjourn. Come back into session in 5 minutes for the regular board meeting.
Yep. Now it is bouncing. Now I don't know. It's strange because now it's bouncing again, but it wasn't during the. So I'll see what it sounds like when we. Yeah, I'll see. I don't know. Okay, I'm glad that it's working on your end because we always have that reporting as well. So it should be good. On a Monday, because that sometimes seems to happen on a Tuesday when we get. Like if there's a holiday on Monday, we have a meeting on Tuesday, and then it seems like that's when we. But here. There was something going on. I think it's our internet because it was giving me a warning. I don't know what else. But that's good to know because that's what I was telling him. It wasn't bouncing like it's supposed to be all the time. And eventually, so that's good to know. He said his end sounds good right now. So hopefully, and it's bouncing again. So hopefully it'll clear up. But I think it was we've been having some internet issues, and I'm thinking that's what it was. 1 minute, what if? That I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Each. Sure. We're ready.
All the workshop or the meeting to order. Please stand for lunch. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ashley, second. Second by Dave. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda, principal report, RJL Middle School, and Adams.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to share our Gym School Action Plan, otherwise known as the SAP. based on District 18 strategic directions and the district strategy team, and that gets to our building leadership team, which met in August and came up with some goals for our building for the school year. So that's what I'll be sharing tonight. Goal number 1, increasing the fidelity of our recently purchased curriculums in the areas of English language arts and science. This year is considered phase 2 because it's the second year of that process. However, you need to know that this year we have 2 new English teachers. Last year we had 2 new English teachers. And for them, it's kind of phase 1. So we just kind of roll with the system and get everybody on board. So that goal is looking for 100% of the staff meeting walkthrough expectations during the 25-26 school year. The action steps include accountability walkthroughs with identified areas of need to support and give feedback. In other words, through wit and wisdom in the case of our English curriculum, and then STEM scopes and amplify with 6th grade science and 7th and 8th grade science. There are look fors that we have within these action steps to make sure that there's accountability with teaching that curriculum to fidelity. The walkthroughs are calendared through the building secretary, so Ryan and I are scheduled to get into these classrooms. It is part of our day. The look fors are communicated with staff prior to walkthroughs during our Wednesday early outs. So, for instance, classroom procedures. Staff know what we are looking for when we come in during those walkthroughs, and when it changes to a new look for, we would communicate that information. Goal number 2, decrease the overall quarterly failure rate from an average of, it's kind of a staggering number, 29%, down to an average of 15%. Some of the action steps we are taking are parent communication, as recorded in a contact log in Infinite Campus, which is our student management system, for all students that are at risk of failure. In other words, the expectation is if a kid is at a D or an F level, parents need to be communicated with and recorded in that contact log. Grades are updated every other week to keep parents informed of their child's academic progress. Reminders are sent to the entire staff each Monday morning. Ryan and I have a reminder every Monday. It's called Monday Morning Reminders. Every other week, there's going to be a prompt in there that says, please update your grade books. Please contact parents if kids are at risk of failure. Tier 1 academic interventions in a classroom setting. These are used after core instruction is complete. And this seems kind of daunting, especially when classrooms are jammed with 32 to 35 kids. But we're not asking for interventions for 32 to 35 kids. We're identifying kids within that group, 3 to 5 kids. Maybe they need a small group setting after core instruction to do more, or do some pre-teaching, or do some things that support those learners. Goal number 3, based on walkthrough data, 100% of the staff will implement evidence-based practices and strategies with fidelity. Action steps include for this. And these are also taught during Wednesday's early outs. Opening a lesson. Progress monitoring throughout the class period. Tier 1 interventions. There are walkthroughs on each of these strategies, in addition to all classes are required to have a course syllabus. It is also important to note that walkthroughs are not to be confused with non-tenured formal observations. So in other words, a walkthrough looks very different. If we are looking for something like opening a lesson, we can cover probably 2 to 3 classrooms to try to get that quick look. What are we doing to motivate those kids? What are we doing to open that lesson? How are we getting their interest levels? How are we getting engagement up? So those are all things that we are looking for, and we're making sure that we are talking about them. A formal observation is very different. That's going to take a half hour or 40 minutes at almost a class period. But again, the walkthrough, we can cover a lot of those, so I just want to share some of that data as well. We've probably had 80 walkthroughs thus far in the school year, in addition to actual observations. So at this point, through first quarter, and again, this is something we want to remember, we're a semester school, not a quarter school at the middle school. Did the teacher walk around, talk around, and look around? So we're operating at about 82% are doing that. And if not, it doesn't always mean that they're not doing that, it means that maybe in that 5 to 10 minute walkthrough, we did not observe it. Did the teacher, did you see the teacher respond and interact with the students? That's a really good number. That's about 86%. And then some, it's just hard to observe. And then the no, where we didn't see it during that time, was about 10%. Did you see some sort of a formative assessment or data collection tool? That was a little bit lower. That was about 70%. But again, we don't always observe it. So sometimes a no, or it's just not observed. And then did it appear that the students were engaged in the lesson? Again, pretty good number. We had about 82%. So that's with the walkthroughs that we've done to this point. As far as our data on failure rates. So again, that number was about 29%. After the first quarter, we were down 5%, down to about 24% of kids carrying Fs. Now, what's deceptive there is at the quarter rate, that's more like a progress report, that's not a permanent grade, or a semester school. So again, we've seen the growth, absolutely, it's tangible. Moving from 29% down to 24% is measurable, but our goal is 15%, and we're very hopeful we're going to get dangerously close to that by the time it gets to the semester. So, with that being said, that's the data that matches the goals, and we're very encouraged by what's taking place in the middle school. So, we got some questions. Any?
I have some. Go ahead.
Great. Letterbox.
So you mentioned when we identify failing, right? That we get a contact the parent. How's that done? I mean, because nowadays that seems like a challenge, right?
Great question. Yeah, great question. So obviously, phone calls are the best. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes contacts are outdated. We do allow for some emailing. And again, just as recent as today, parents are like, I really want to receive a phone call. Well, a lot of times it's game of phone tag. Teachers have one prep a day. They can't do that throughout the day. When they're teaching, it's pretty difficult making phone calls. So between obviously emails, phone calls, but we also through Messenger on campus, there is some notifications that go home as well. And there are some people that are using Messenger. So all three of those activities are being used for communication.
Do we have a way to, is that a bi-weekly process when is that what I heard? Twice occur every 2 weeks that happens?
We're asking for grade books to be updated at least every other week, if not more. And a lot of people are going to do more than that, especially when you get, okay, I don't want to pick on math, but math is going to have more daily work than, for instance, a social studies teacher. But yeah, we're asking that at least every other week we have updates.
And so, how are we logging the ability to actually make contact? Do we have any, is that tracked by it? Oh, I guess is it a formal process when we do that, or is it kind of informal?
Yes and no, and this is a really good question too. So we're going to get better at it. We call it the custom contact log. That's right built into Canvas. Last year we started using that with Positive Contact Home. So there is a tracking system that's very tangible, but I don't think we're using it with fidelity yet. We're working on that and we're getting better at that, but there's room for growth.
So, would it be easy to have it generate, you said we've seen a 5% improvement thus far. What I thought I heard.
That's exactly what you heard.
And we're shooting for 15. Do we have any numbers to show that contact directly correlates with that ability to contact? Because I got a feeling it does, right?
So when we get to semester, that's when we're really going to start crunching the data to say, because again, I want to emphasize we're a semester school. At quarter, that's not a permanent grade. And staff will use that as like a progress monitoring or a progress. This is where they're at here and now, but it's not a permanent grade until January when it's the end of the semester. And then we'll start looking at, are we doing everything we need to do to contact parents? So that will be really the accountabilities and we'll be at semester. I mean, we're monitoring it, But as far as like, can we say it's made a difference? Well, if we go from 29% down to 15%, we're gonna say yes, because that's pretty tangible. Great questions.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, school resource officer update.
Well, thanks for having me here. Just a few quick updates, what's going on in schools, I guess, law enforcement wise. A couple of years ago, we had new legislation that came out for school resource officers, kind of dealing with students. It's kind of a cool about it. Those of you that weren't on the board back then. And redo some language within statute to kind of open things up for us to get a little bit of how we word it out. So this past year, there was a new law enacted September 1st that we had to have. One of those things that we have to have is training as school resource officers. Electric PD for us, with the game 2 years to get that done. The rest of the year, we were ahead of the game there. I attended basic NASRO, which is the National Association of School Resource Officers training for 3 days. I started in 2021, and then this past summer in July, the 3-day training for advanced class for the school resource officer training. So took care of that. We'll have continuing education things as this position continues on. So, and then we also are involved in, let me back up there for a second. Also, there's a national conference coming up that we're going to be talking about today. Potentially going to that for a 4 or 5 day training in Nevada. So, the Grand Rapids Police Department is definitely committed to pushing our officers to these trainings to, I guess, give a better service to the school. I'm also involved in the Minnesota Juvenile Officers Association, also the North Conference, the summer that we attend. It's a bunch of local Minnesota officers across the state get together and do some trainings, and then do some networking with each other, just kind of see what's going on in each other's schools, kind of how we operate, and trying to get that service better as well. Another thing we did, kind of trying to be connected with the school. I am for sure as part of this threat assessment team. I know our police department, we've done some tabletop discussions of how we would respond to major events at our schools. We sat down with us, fire, and school administrators to kind of keep going forward about how it's going to look if something happens. Well, we want to be, the preparedness, so we're ready to go in case something does happen. That we are committed, not just me, but our police department, also our fire department, so everybody's on the same page and ready to go. I'm also connected heavily with social services. Myself, I'm first witness trained interviewer, which is not something necessarily school related, but it definitely comes up in our schools from time to time with mostly deals with sexual assault of juveniles. And there's a special set of rules of how we investigate those crimes. So I've been involved in that for a few years now, and that cases come up through the schools. Not necessarily happening at the school, but with our students that are able to help provide that service. Our meetings at social services too each morning, and also a multiple disciplinary team where we're getting together talking with families, higher needs, and what kind of resources we can push to them, and what input I can give to assist social services with that. Also, it's really cool. This is Captain John. He attended the FBI National Academy last spring, which is a 10-week program for him, so it's pretty cool. The leadership program, graduate with that, and got to see a lot of cool things out in Virginia. And information about, the FBI Youth Leadership Program, which I pushed out to our, counselors at the high school, which was then pushed out to all of our high school students. We got a couple here, but I don't know if you got that email or not, I hope so. It's for juniors and, or next year's juniors and seniors. Seniors leaving, it wouldn't be for them, but, it's a application process, and it's Minnesota, Northwest South Dakota, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. That's our region for that we're representing. All the applicants in Minnesota will narrow it down to one, and North Dakota, South Dakota, Manitoba, Saskatchewan will be the same. So there'd be one for each one of those areas, and then ours Northwest area was called. We select one student to attend, all costs provided to whoever gets selected. It's long, it's a big process, right? Chances aren't probably super high, but hopefully we get a couple more students to put in to show interest. It's not necessarily just law enforcement related, but it's leadership related. So hopefully get some students that will be studying for that. So I do have a couple sheets of paper here for you. Bring them up, yeah. Just going over, this is just September 2024 till the same date today, September 15th, and then 2025, start of school year, September 1st, or we started it 2025. Kind of just going over how I code calls. I codify when calls, dispatch very often. So it kind of goes over where we're at. The total, I believe, is fairly consistent, 40 to 50, which is a huge variation from year to year. There's only a couple things I would maybe odd or pops out ladies versus drug complaints where we have 10 to 1. A lot of it has to do with vaping, probably more coding on my part, especially last year. And then we are seeing definitely when we first started getting data detectors in our school and having these calls in cases against students. A lot of that was nicotine in the beginning, and now it's turned more to marijuana use. So, and then the other one would be threats, where we had 6 calls of threats last year. Last year, I think, was kind of an anomaly in September or October, where they seemed to be pouring in one after another. All the threats calls on here would be like a threat at school, not necessarily a verbal threat to students. So, last year was this year it's more. Actually, 100, yes, I don't know why you say that. So, everything else, I think, is pretty consistent from year to year. Do you have any questions on anything I was talking about? Well, I have, I guess.
From the start of the school year to now, last year's.
Yes, I think we did the numbers from September 1st. So, so yeah, start of school year till this date. So it's equal same time.
Any other questions? If you were to try to just scale, 50 to 40, if you were trying to scale the severity of the call, do you have, do you think they could less severe, more severe, or overall?
But feeling this year was definitely, I mean, since it started honestly 2021 till this year, it's I feel like the severity of calls has definitely gone down. I don't know if that was a cool thing that came in. I wasn't there. That was the first year I started. So, so I kind of got thrown in with that. But yes, from last year to this year, last year we were definitely, seemed busier with more serious events. It's not to say that doesn't happen this year as well. So.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. Yeah.
So in the spring, we can do a breakdown with like felony, gross misdemeanor, petty misdemeanor offenses for you when we come back might give you a good like snapshot of what we're looking at for severities. And we could break it down by school as well. Kind of general, these aren't just the high school. And I guess from my standpoint, like as our police administration, as Troy talked about, like we're committed to training Troy, you know, to the highest levels and specifically like how to give the best service to the school. I certainly want you to contact me. We have a structure with the chief captains that we're switching in January. So I'll go from a patrol captain to more of an investigative SRO clerical captain. So if there's trainings that you see or somebody brings up like, hey, I think this would be good for Troy to attend, certainly bring it up to me. We're certainly committed to the relationship between the police department and the school, and certainly making Troy the best SRO up there that we can. So, yeah, please reach out if you have any questions from an administrative standpoint.
Mr. Chair, a couple things. First of all, I'm really appreciative of the relationship we have with GRPD, with the two officers that are here, as well as the captains and the chief. Real partnership, so appreciate that. I'm curious, what our students, how they sort of interact or what their feeling is about the SRO program. So I guess, Aaron, I'm curious, like, how do you feel like it goes, the benefits and things like that, anything, I'm just curious.
Well, I think it's really nice. I've never had to experience being that. It's good thing to say. But definitely he sits through my lunch and he's sitting through most lunches. And it's just nice to see how many students go up to him, just give him high fives and want to talk to him. And there's a bunch of teachers there, and they go up to him first. They want to talk to him. His relationship with the students, I think is really important because you can tell he wants to help you. He doesn't want you to get in trouble. He's gonna do everything he can to make sure you can be a better person, or you can work through whatever's going on at home or going on in school. He wants the best, and so I think that's really cool to see. It's also nice his daughter, she's on our Ross team, and so it's fun to see him mess around with his daughter and be friends with all his daughter's friends. So that's cool. It's more, for me, it's more personal to be able to talk to him, even though he's police officer, he's got a taser, whatever. He's got a daughter in the school, it's not scary.
I agree with pretty much everything. He's a really personal guy. Talking to people.
Yeah, I don't know some of the board members know, but Troy and I were talking earlier today. It's I never knew when I would take this SRO job to develop into being a football coach at US Bank Stadium. Or tonight he's coaching hockey. He's involved with you big time. So he really pats himself on the back for that. But he's putting a lot of time investing in his students. Certainly appreciate it.
Thanks for coming. Next item on the agenda, the minutes of the November 10th, 25 regular school board meeting. Do I have a motion? By Ashley, second. Second by Dave. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes for November 10th are approved. Next item on the agenda, approve the minutes for the December 8th, 25 special school board meeting. Motion. Moved by Ashley, second. Seconded by David. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, approve the November 2025 claims, the amount of $6,536,012.19. Motion by Dave, second by David. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Opposed? 2025 claims are approved. Next item on the agenda, following retirements, Casey.
Good evening, board. Tonight we have Sandy Anselmo, administrative professional retirement, and he has served in the district for 20 years. And Reno Peterson, bus driver retirement. Reno served for 11 years. Recommending approval.
Motion. So, okay, by David, second. Second by Ashley, discussion. We appreciate all this. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Both retirements are approved. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Just a reminder that the consent agenda are routine matters and do not require discussion. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Moved by Ashley, second. Second by David. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda, permission to post EDD special ed teacher for Harvard Jail, Beaton Middle School, and Lloyd.
Hello, how are you guys doing tonight? So this is I'm requesting approval to post a 1.0 FTE EBT teacher for the middle school. Just some background on this. You know, we've been just consistently short paraprofessionals or education support professionals in this particular program for about 3 years now. And there's a lot of factors about why that is, and most of them are completely out of our control. So I think we're just looking at a viable solution for the future to give this team a little bit more support. Ultimately, we budgeted for these jobs. They've been budgeted for years. We're not spending that allocation because we can't find people. So taking 2 ESP jobs, and we'd like to just put them into that teacher job or convert them to a teacher position. The budget impact of that is, you know, depending on whether people take benefits or not, it can vary a little bit, but ultimately it will not have a large budget impact and could actually be a positive budget impact, you know, depending on that person's salary and benefit package. So now, if it is more, to give you an example of that, like let's say a teacher comes in, salary and benefits about $10,000 more, you're still looking at 70 to 80% special ed reimbursement if they're funded out of state aid. So the difference becomes very, very minute. But we'd like to offer this team a solution and get some more support to our middle school kids. So I'm requesting approval.
Motion to approve. So moved, David. Second. Second by Dave. Discussion.
So did I understand that correctly? This classification would still be consistent where we did the reimbursement from the state at that higher percentage, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah, and we have a fund balance in third-party billing right now too, which gives us a little bit of flexibility. But ultimately, from what I've observed over the last 7 years, I think it's going to be about net zero on the budget side of things. Any other questions?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Commission opposed is approved. Next item on the agenda, Anna again. Approved permission to post an EBD LD special ed teacher.
All right, so this one is for West Rapids Elementary, and it's a cross-categorical EBD LD position. And this one was a little bit of a surprise to us. Our original staffing plan from last winter, there's just been 3 major changes since then that we didn't anticipate. The first change started late last spring. We had a bunch of Help Me Grow referrals in early childhood for 4-year-olds who were headed for, turning 5-year-olds that were headed to K. So So we finished up a bunch of evaluations in April, May last year, and they were newly qualified kids. So starting the school year, our kids in this building were high. And with it being our primary building, pushing caseloads of 17, 18. I have one caseload at 21 right now in our behavioral program. That's a lot of littles for a behavioral program. So, so then in addition to that, we had a very large quantity of initial referrals to special education to start the year. So we had 17 referrals for the ones that have finished up the evaluations, have qualified. We have several finishing up currently that we're anticipating our NC qualifications as well. And then the third factor is there's more on the horizon. So when talking to building staff about projections for what's coming up for the remainder of the year, it's looking like we're going to have more. So we have more than a full caseload of kids than what we anticipated, when we were doing staffing projections last spring. Because of that pattern of growth and just long term, I think, as I look at what do our 4-year-olds look like in early childhood, what do our 3-year-olds look like right now, I think those numbers are going to continue to be high. And again, this is a budget add, so 70 to 80% of that is going to be reimbursed based on where that state aid formula falls, or we have the option to shift it to third-party billing. And with that fund balance, I feel like we can safely do that for at least a few years to fund this position. So I'm recommending approval.
Motion. Moved by Ashley, seconded by David. When you say we've had an increase there in that age group, are we talking a percentage increase or are we talking an overall number increase?
It's been an overall number increase. Again, I'm looking at just between the spring projections and the new referrals, we're looking at about 25 kids that I didn't anticipate. So, and that's, I anticipate for some growth every year with those primary caseloads, especially primary and late elementary. We always kind of have a growth factor in there. But that's about, 24 kids above and beyond what I anticipated. So growth factor.
So from a percentage, it's pretty significant percentage increase then.
Very much so.
Our numbers have reduced, correct?
Yeah. Yep. So we're definitely seeing with last year's incoming K, this year's incoming K, our 4s and our 3s, a higher percentage of special education overall in those populations. Now, keep in mind, these kids were all babies during COVID. And we're seeing some impacts of that, some things that we're noticing as higher concerns with language development, some of those growth and fine motor, social skills, the things that you would expect to see with, quarantines or lockdowns during COVID, that kids didn't have exposure to some of those social settings at that time. So.
And this is the beginning of that curve probably on that, correct?
Yeah, it started with the kindergarten class this year, and then we've kind of seen it, it's looking like it's just going to stay that way for a bit. I think it's going to come back down eventually. That would be my forecast, but just depends. Yeah. Yes. Very much so. Yeah. Even, when I look at our numbers compared to, statewide averages and what I've talked about with my peers, we're kind of right in the middle. So I think that's, but growth overall is being seen across the state in early childhood. And some of that has to do with kind of, you have COVID and that factor, you also have the way they've structured at MDE, how they surface early childhood has changed too, and some of the interpretations on, what our child find obligations are. So when people should refer, when we should assess, and then qualification interpretations have all kind of shifted a bit in the last few years too, and that leads to growth as well.
favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Permission is approved. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, approve the final 2025 payable 2026 levy. Kara.
Good evening. Last week you heard about our levy increasing. We went over all the details of it. And tonight I'm just asking you to approve the amounts that we discussed. So our final levy would be $15,949,795, which is an increase of 7.8% from the prior year.
So motion to approve. So moved by David, second by David, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Levy for 2026 is approved. Next item, thank you, Kara. Next item on the agenda, approve the following annual review policies in one meeting in accordance with policy 208. And those will be student discipline 506, crisis management 806. Superintendent Gross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you're aware, the board has prerogative of approving policies in one meeting that have no or only substantive or no substantive change. And we also have policies that require annual review. These two policies are in both those categories. No changes are recommended after review by the policy review committee, and so they come to you with a recommendation.
So motion to approve those policies. Moved by Ashley, second. And second by David. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 506 and 806 are approved. Next item on the agenda, accept first reading and approve the following policies with legislative and non-substantive changes in one reading in accordance with policy 208. They are 306, 501, 606, and 722. Superintendent Gross.
These four policies can also be approved in one reading as well, because as I mentioned earlier, the changes are minor. They're required by law or non-substantive. So again, reviewed by our policy review committee, and they come with recommendation to approve.
The motion to approve. So David, moved by David. Do I have a second? Second by Ashley. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Those policies are approved. Next item on the agenda, set first reading of policy 712, digital surveillance other than request to Superintendent Gross.
This policy will require 2 meetings. This is kind of a typical first reading request, no action tonight. You can see in the policy that there were some minor changes to procedures around video recording, and they're in alignment with the school association's model. So let's go back to the subsequent meeting for approval. If there are any questions or concerns, certainly can ask them tonight. I can try to answer them tonight, or we can resolve those between now and the next meeting. No action necessary.
No action required. And Big Fork School Advisory Committee update.
Hello, thank you, Chair Schroeder. Thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me okay. I am calling to you live from the Husky girls basketball game tonight. We had our elementary cheer squad performing, and so my kids were in that. And I would like to give you a couple updates from the committee that we have in Big Fork. The first I spoke to you about last month. We have some slight revisions to the charter that you will see in your board packet, and that is coming up for your approval. We made minor changes by adding a couple officer positions, so we have more leadership positions, and then some tweaks to the committee selection process to streamline and make the operational side of that a little bit more clear. Also want to let you know that we have 2 committee members participating in the forward focus group that is being put together by the district, and we're able to attend the first session and excited to be a part of that. Last update is that we are focusing on the student experience for Big Fork School this year, and have been talking about not only curriculum, but have been having some really robust discussions on activities for the students in Big Fork, sports, and other extracurriculars. And we're going to continue to do that this month, along with class offerings and the like. So we have growing concern about numbers dwindling in sports and other activities, and just trying to come up with some creative ways to make things accessible for our kids at this school. Does anyone have any questions for me about the charter or anything else? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can we approve the Big Fork Advisory School charters? It was right under 8B.
Do I have a motion to approve the Big Fork School Advisory Charter? Moved by Ashley, second. Second by Dave. Discussion. Hearing none, in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Charter is approved. Now we're on the board reports. Go ahead.
Okay, so, fall come to an end, but kind of just like the last little update. So football lost to Castle Maryville in the state semifinals. That's for 16-14. 2 specific players received All-State recognition. So Brandon McKinney received academic All-State. Oliver Spawn was a part of the Minnesota Vikings All-State team, and then our first staff All-State, which was last weekend, and then North One, which is pretty big deal since this week, girls hockey is away on Tuesday versus the Lutheran Stars and home on Thursday versus Brainerd. Boys hockey is away to 18-19 Giants. They're at the Edina Classics. We play Edina, Eden Prairie, and Alfred. Girls basketball is away on Thursday versus Copay and home on Friday versus Greenway. Boys basketball is home tomorrow versus Blue Benfield. Boys swimming and diving Wonder Percy on Thursday versus Proctor, and tomorrow they have a week away versus East. Wrestling also has a tournament on Friday, Saturday, and they're away competing against Rochester Mayo. And then Nordic skiing is home on the 16th at Mount Whitney. And then this past weekend, the Red completed their yearly showing of the Nutcracker.
Clubs, student councils are doing candy cane grants, so students and staff can send a candy cane will around to other students or staff in the building. They're $1, I think, and then all of those things are going to the GRHS wallet, which has food and hygiene items for students. We also kick off our holiday recipe this week, and today was the jam day. Keep Love had another successful blood drive of April 25th. They collected 83 units, potentially saving as many as 249 lives. Keep Love has had a busy month with volunteering for finger life villagers. Ruby's Paintery, Grace House, tying blankets and helping at second harvest. That team has a meeting tomorrow with Gabe, and then Jasmine playing their holiday concert at was last Wednesday.
Thank you. So since last meeting, I participated in negotiations with bus drivers. We did meeting, our initial meeting. And then unfortunately, I was, had some business commitments and was out of state the last meeting we had last week. But this week will be, we'll back up to big court, and I think we'll also got the someone out there with services. So all I have to do. David?
Yeah, I want to add, just a bit to the Keep Pub. Keep Pub members, volunteered for the, Thanksgiving Day. And it was not, these students were, incredible. Reaching the community, what I see.
So my sister went to that and she said it was really fun. So that's good to hear.
Students were awesome. The meetings, like our negotiations, some other meetings. Among other things, we had the 2025 Minnesota School Board Delegate Assembly meeting a couple of weeks ago. The assembly, we had 36 resolutions. We approved 23 of them. We, as the school board, forwarded several. One is encouraging the legislature to ensure that any shortfalls meeting the $250 million reduction target for the Blue Ribbon Special Education Task Force do not come from special education cross subsidy aid. That resolution was passed unanimously. We also had submitted a resolution to urge the legislature to invest dedicated funding to include comprehensive review and redesign of academic standards. And ask MDE to launch collaborative statewide efforts to review and develop and implement AI literacy frameworks. That passed. We had a resolution to either repeal summer unemployment benefits for non-instructional school employees between academic terms, or to fully fund those benefits and allow non-instructional employees to resign from their upcoming school term positions without losing eligibility for unemployment benefits. That resolution also passed unanimously. There were a number of resolutions concerning PSBO, and our students have the opportunity to attend the university or ICC classes, PSBO. The challenge that we as a school have is that we lose the funding from that student for that class. So it becomes a financial issue for us. There were a number of resolutions asking the legislature to look at that. The resolutions by and large went nowhere. There was a very strong voice that MDE had appointed a commission to review PSBO. And that commission was supposed to be coming out with a study. Now, that commission was appointed in 2009, so there was some skepticism about how active they were. But at the end of the day, the determination of the committee was, let's see what that group comes up with in terms of recommendations. And they are supposed to have, within the very near future, some very specific recommendations. One final resolution that was, I think, important for us is the permanent school fund. There's a proposal to add a constitutional amendment to replace the outdated formula for distributing those funds. Those are the funds that come from mining, from the permanent school locations. We learned quite a bit about this back in the day. Section 36 and 18
in every, throughout the state, were earmarked for school, permanent school funding. That fund generates, quite a bit of funding right now, but the funding formula is based, and on some levels, it seems like it's pretty logical. It's the profit that comes from the annual, how much money you make this year. And that's what gets distributed. It's about 2.5% of the entire corpus funds. The constitutional amendment, the strongly supported by MSBA, asks that that endowment fund be treated like other endowment funds from the nonprofit world, and a percentage of the entire value of the fund. Not just what you made this year, but a percentage of the entire fund balanced over the 3-year period. Be contributed. That would represent an increase to 4.5% to 5%, which essentially doubles the amount that we as a school, and every school, every student in the state of Minnesota is a trust fund student because of that trust fund. What we're looking at, this resolution will update the survey. Anyway, very interesting meeting. Lots of detail. Thank you.
I think Mr. Chair, I think it's huge work on the negotiations with the principals unit. On November 18th, that started the Center was Council Board meeting. On December 4th, participated in the first of several forward community engagement sessions, which was very well attended with a great cross section of our community. Lots of information was shared, great questions answered. I think we'd still be talking with the people participating. It was just great engagement, and it's hard to get up here on time. But I think I did a job of facilitating that. On December 8th, I participated in the Right Parks Council Cultural Center Theater feasibility study kickoff with a group that was selected for that engagement. I think there's some good things that they're looking to see from the council and the community about what that really might look like. Last Tuesday night, with Superintendent Gross and Story, I attended the Rams meeting in Virginia. It was really great to see people coming together, really in the interest of serving Iron Range. It was very, very cool to see. Very nice tribute. Shared there as well. And then we also like to just call out the several students that email the board advocating for several initiatives that they felt strongly about. They were very well written letters. I think just a great lesson in civic engagement. And so we'll have to visit that one.
Well, they have discussed what I also said that I was a part of. I'm going to say the students did a really great job in writing these letters and papers and letting us know their concerns or their passions and what they feel would work better when we all bring some thoughts and ideas on for our district. I just more of the job which they accomplished.
I've heard a lot of things mentioned that I participated in, but I would like to again highlight the engagement meeting. We had just an excellent group of people came together and a lot of really good discussions. With that, Superintendent's report, Superintendent Gross.
Yeah, many of the same items. I agree. I think our first board meeting was great. Thank you for our student and school board reps for coming too. I twist their arm and they said yes, so thank you. Really important to have your voice there. I was plugging them there to spread their wings. I think they had a good discussion. I had another meeting of our state's statutory revenue task force. It's a very fascinating group, diverse group of folks looking at this issue again. That came out of the last legislative session, and we have a preliminary report due to the legislature on January 16th. And then a final report, I believe, due following October. I think the big push, I believe, will be to extend the hold harmless component of that until there really can be a permanent resolution or a permanent, maybe a more permanent idea brought forward. There are a lot of variables that go into that formula, or whether they're practical or conceptual, and so a lot of work still to do. I attended Rand's meeting as well as in terms of what Dave mentioned. And again, great to see so many people supporting the range. Great tribute to Roy Smith and his efforts to do the same, advocate for the range, bring people together, inspiring life, inspiring what he did. We had no attendance at our last community conversation efforts for the series. So we'll retool, and this last one was really about kind of a panel. And so we'll retool and see what might work well in the future. It's a busy time of year, we totally get that. We have mentioned negotiations a couple times, and we have tentative with our teacher group. Really appreciative for how the tone of those meetings went. Really respectful, problem solving, solution focused. Really, really good. So really respectful, and I appreciate that a lot. And a couple, hopefully wrap up a couple more this week. Finally, strategy team. I think Ryan mentioned that today in his report today, and so that group continues to work. Doing a lot of work right now, focused on our curriculum integration for language arts. We have math. We have a math team that's meeting to work on a K-12 math curriculum. That'll be big. It's a huge lift. The two big ones, I guess, are math and language arts. The third biggest is kind of we're still working on, which is science. And so that's big and requires a lot of effort and attention. So goal one is there. We had a meeting recently with individual from the Search Cooperative, focused on culturally responsive leadership. We essentially, as leaders, come to the table and how our experiences as human beings show up in our work and being cognizant of that. So it was a really good discussion. That's part of our second goal. We have a goal around our online learning program and watching that and improving that over time. The strategy team is working hard on those goals and monitoring those. Principals have been busy doing walkthroughs this fall, a couple of different rounds, and you heard some reference to that. I think it's been really, really good. I think there's been a really intentional effort to both look at instructional practices as well as implementation fidelity of the curriculum. And if we're going to invest all these resources in curriculum, it's important that we know that what we're doing with it is what we're supposed to be doing. So I think we're doing a better job of that than we've ever done. And teachers are working super, super hard. It's unfamiliar territory for them in many cases, and they're just putting a lot of effort into it. So I want to acknowledge that. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. A reminder, upcoming school board committee meeting dates are posted on each agenda. School board meeting agendas can be found on the district website and on the designated posting site at the IC 318 Ed Services Center. Is there any other business to come before the board? Julie, has anyone signed up for public input?
No one has signed up.
And that meeting is adjourned. Mark, thank you. Yeah, very close. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's all right.
It'll be good. Yeah. Sort of that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.